I got a text saying, and into the room, but is it because it's just not working when they can't get in?
I can't see anybody that's here. Yeah, because I started over.
I know, I've been watching, I'm like, it's not.
It's like,
No, it is not. So, we'll record the last half of the meeting, but, I don't wait, I updated the computer today, which may have.
See, that's what happened.
Microsoft. I'm sorry, I apologize. But, all the people were trying to contact. Well,
So we just move on.
we just move on. I'm a technological dummy.
Oh, you're a lot sharper than I am, so I'm not, you're not gonna get a hassle out of me. Out of me. Okay, so, action items, appointment committees. Okay, approve the second reading of ordinance number 455, imposing a 3% tax on the sale of marijuana.
This was the opportunity for us to, I added the phrase that we wanted for dedicated to public safety in the ordinance.
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it.
It is on section 3B. Taxes, interest, and penalties transferred to Cascade Locks from the Oregon Department of Revenue will be distributed to the city's general fund to be dedicated to public safety.
That wasn't on mine. I had to write it in dedicated.
It is,
Well, 5B.
it's on mine,
Oh, 5B?
5D. No, it's section 3.
Section 3,
Okay, as long as it's in there.
It's
Taxes, interest, and penalties transferred to Cascade Locks by the Oregon Department of Revenue will be distributed to the city's general fund. It doesn't say anything about public safety.
dedicated to public safety.
Yeah, I know.
Ours doesn't
Not
have
mine.
it, but that's.
I think that was the original.
But
Yeah,
that was the original.
But he has the original one, there's a second one.
5B units. Right there.
So if you look at the where it says, well, the other one says 5B. It's on there.
Okay.
You guys wanted it, I did it. And it'll be on the one he signs. So
Cool. It is 3%, that's max.
that is Matt.
That's what we can do.
Is that-
And then three,
Yeah,
nice
sure.
enough of these. We don't have anybody to sell.
Right.
So is anybody opposed, just read into by the title?
I'm not opposed. I just wanted to make sure, because under the ordinance number 455 on the document, it don't say it, but it is on the staff report. I just want to make sure that it's on there.
It's on there. I don't know why you got a different. There are two copies. Well, maybe that's my old copy.
That's what we got.
I think what's in here is your old one.
Well, okay, it is on mine and it's on the, did you check this? And it's on Butch's, right? You found
It's
it?
on yours, Butch. I'm on 5B.
No.
I think you made it look for resolution.
Wait a minute. That's the resolution. Ordinance 4.5. Yes, it is on the ordinance, the mayor to sign.
So the one we have is just,
I don't know how you got
The old copy.
the old copy, because some got the new copy. I have the new copy, I don't, it's there. I promise.
Okay.
Hire me with this stuff.
Now.
So what we could do, if you want, we could have him read the whole thing and read it with that in. Instead of reading the title, read the ordinance and he'll read it into the, with that in. Cause you have the option of reading the whole thing. If there's any one council person doesn't want to, the only time you can read it by title is if there's one person that wants the whole thing read. So we could read the whole thing with that in it, and at least it's documented that way.
you can't read it by title only,
You
and know
can.
that we're doing that.
You can, but then he's not gonna say, it's just gonna be the title. It's not gonna have that piece in it.
You want me to read it? I'll be happy to read it.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Ordinance number 455, an ordinance in the city of Cascade Lodge imposing a 3% tax on the sale of marijuana items by marijuana retailers and sporting ordinance. Whereas, and the other thing that's changed is the citation numbers, the state law changed the numbers. Whereas ORS 475C.453 provides that a city council may adopt an ordinance to refer to the voters that imposes up to a 3% tax on the sale of marijuana items by marijuana retailers in the area subject to the jurisdiction of the city. And whereas the city council wants to impose a tax on the sale of marijuana items by marijuana retailers in the area subject to the jurisdiction of the city. Now therefore, the city of Cascade Lodge, Sioux River County, Oregon ordains as follows. Definition: A marijuana item has been given that term, has the meaning given that term in ORS 475C.009 subsection 25. B, marijuana retailer means a person who sells marijuana items to a consumer in the state. C, retail sales price means the price paid for a marijuana item excluding tax to a marijuana retailer by or on behalf of the consumer of the marijuana item. Section 1, tax imposed, as described in ORS 475C.453, the city of Cascade Lodge hereby imposes a tax of 3% on the retail sale of price of marijuana items by marijuana retailers in the area subject to the jurisdiction of the city. Section 2, collection. The tax shall be collected at the point of sale of a marijuana item by a marijuana retailer at the time at which the retail sale occurs and remitted by each marijuana retailer that engages in the retail sale of marijuana items. Section 3, interest and penalty. Interest shall be added to the overall tax amount due at the same rate established under ORS 305.220 for each month or fraction of a month from the time the return to the Oregon Department of Revenue was originally required to be filed by the marijuana retailer to the time of payment. B, if a marijuana retailer fails to file a return with the Oregon Department of Revenue or pay the taxes required, a penalty shall be imposed upon the marijuana retailer in the same manner and amount provided under ORS 314.400. Every penalty imposed and any interest that accrues becomes a part of the financial obligation required to be paid by the marijuana retailer and remitted to the Oregon Department of Revenue. D, taxes, interest, and penalties transferred to the city to Cascade Lodge by the Oregon Department of Revenue will be distributed to the city's general fund to be dedicated to public safety. E, if at any time a marijuana retailer fails to remit any amount owed in taxes, interest, or penalties, the Oregon Department of Revenue is authorized to enforce collection on behalf of the city of the owed amount in accordance with ORS 475C.670 to 475C.734. Any agreement between the Oregon Department of Revenue and Cascade Lodge under ORS 305.620 and any applicable administrative rules adopted by the Oregon Department of Revenue. Section 4, referral. This ordinance shall be referred to the electors of Cascade Lodge at the next statewide general election on November 8, 2022. First reading by the city council this 9th day of May 2022. Adopted by the city council, assuming you approve it, 23rd day of May 2020.
So there,
Thank you.
so you heard it.
Yeah.
Heard it. So that's recorded. That's
you.
recorded. You know that. whereas people outside have to do
No, I had to read
the
it,
thing.
I had to read it, I paid for it.
Okay, so now we are looking for a motion, correct?
We are.
So,
I move to approve ordinance 455 imposing a 3% tax on the sale of marijuana items by marijuana retailers.
I second.
and move to second to approve the tax. To approve ordinance number 455, imposing a 3% tax on sale of marijuana items by marijuana retailers. Discussion. No questions? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? All right. Well. Now we got the resolution.
Right, resolution 1473 refers the ordinance number 455 to the general election ballot. Since we have that requirement by our charter.
So we have a motion there.
I move to approve resolution number 1473 referring to ordinance number 455 to the November general election ballot.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 1473, referring to ordinance number 455 to the November general election ballot. Discussion?
I have a question, Your Honor. Under exhibit 2 on that, the first paragraph says approval, this measure would impose a 3% tax on sale of marijuana items by marijuana retailers within the city of Cascade Locks. There are no restrictions on how the city may use the revenues generated by this tax. So. What is,
You wanted to say,
So that. needs to
yeah,
stay.
there is, yeah, because it's gonna go to public safety.
Yeah. We go to safety.
I will amend that.
Mhm.
Good catch.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out where that was listed too, so I'm glad you saw it.
Yeah,
But it's in the ordinance, so it really doesn't matter here, but. I
but still
understand.
you wanted to go jive, right?
I will amend that.
And then the explanatory statements what's going on the ballot.
Yeah, it's not about, yeah.
So.
Like,
That's-
yeah, pretty important.
So do we need to? We need to redo the motion with the amendment, or
I
just
think-
so amended type thing?
Friendly amendment, I think. Let me write it first here.
Okay.
I'll read it to you so you can see what it's-
Okay.
Sorry.
While he's updating that, I did have a question. I know last time we were talking about where, marijuana retailer could operate inside the city of Cascade Locks. And there was only that one lot of land over by the fire station. What about port property?
Port property is governed by the federal government. They have contracts with the federal government, and the federal government does not recognize marijuana. So.
Don't they have a grower already down there?
Not port property,
Not on port property.
That's part of,
and
That's
it's,
private.
and it's wholesale, it's not retail.
Got it.
This is the retail.
But if we have a wholesaler there, so wouldn't it be possible though for someone to open up a retail operation in the same
No.
location?
No. That's restricted because it's close to port property. Let's see where, I'm trying to remember where the restriction is on that. You can't do any retail sales on industrial property.
It's a zoning
It's
issue.
zoning issue.
Got it.
I think that's Bear Mountain land over there.
I see.
I didn't know that.
But over where Frame and all that, that's port property.
Yeah.
That's zone heavy industrial.
Mhm,
And it's close to the park, within 1,000 feet of a park
mhm.
where children.
Well, this traffic and congestion we've had on 84 and with the overpass on Forest Lane construction. You don't realize how much traffic goes past our little town until all of a sudden you get it all falling down to one lane and you see it all back up. There are a lot of cars that drive past our little town. every
About
single-
34,000 a day, about 10,000 motor cars.
That's a lot of traffic.
Plus 40 trains
Yeah.
On this side of the river.
on this side.
When I got my driver's license, I could go on it, fully open up, and I could drive beyond Trophy, I'll never see another vehicle.
Yeah,
Okay, so I took out
That's
this,
how it's changed since 66.
there are no restrictions on how the city may use the revenues generated by this tax. I took that out. Any funds collected shall be deposited in the city's general revenue, general fund and dedicated for public safety. Okay, I will get that.
Better.
So we're good with that amendment?
Mhm.
we need a new motion to approve it as amended.
Please.
I move to approve the amended resolution number 1473, referring ordinance number 455 to November general election.
But we amended the notice, we didn't amend the resolution.
So I move to approve the resolution with the amended
Amended.
Explanatory statement.
explanatory statement for resolution number 1473, referring ordinance number 455 to November general election. Wow.
Second. Yes.
Okay.
You're getting me.
It's been moved and second to amend resolution 1473. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? I didn't ask for discussion. Are we good without discussion? Okay. All right. Approve resolution number 1474 for an ODOE grant application.
We have submitted or are in the process of submitting a grant to FEMA, Oregon Emergency Management System, for a microgrid for City Hall, which would include a new roof, solar panels, diesel generator, diesel tank, and moving our diesel generator to City Hall and hooking it all up. The Oregon Department of Energy has $12 million that they are giving to resiliency projects. If we don't get the grant from FEMA, we're applying for the exact same thing to Oregon Department of Energy. That grant is due before our next council meeting, but they want a resolution showing that the council is in favor of this grant. So that's the purpose of this resolution. If we are lucky enough to get both, then we will talk to both entities and say, you pay the 75-25 and we'll use the ODE for the match, which would mean no money out of the city coffers. If we only get one, there's enough that we have to have a match. For the FEMA one, there is no match for the Oregon Department of Energy one. So I'm trying to cover all my bases in the grant game. That's what this resolution is for, so we can submit it with our Oregon Department of Energy grant.
And this is using the existing generator that's at the water waste treatment plant,
It's not a treatment plant, it's the water pump station that's up on Booty.
and it would just relocate it to City Hall and get us the new roof.
And get us the new roof, solar panels. All that stuff.
That'd be huge.
So if we get this, it's resiliency, we can operate for 2 weeks, electrical power in City Hall without power coming into the city, which means we can keep the city functions going. And we might not get either grant. In case
We'll just keep doing what we're doing. We put the bucket out.
Yeah.
Okay, you got a right, motion?
I'll make a move to approve resolution 1474, authorizing the ODOE grant application for a renewable energy project at City Hall.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and second to approve resolution number 1474, authorizing the ODOE grant application for a renewable energy project at City Hall. Discussion. I like this. All in favor? Yeah.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Parents and citizens.
Mikey.
As a citizen, did you want? Oh, there's another one?
Yep, Ivy.
Oh, Oh, I'm not wearing glasses, so everything's kind of blurry. Okay, 5E, approved, community picnic.
Since this staff report was put together, there's a couple other issues for you to be aware of. The port is willing to partner with us on movie night. They hadn't expected to do it on June 24th. They were looking at maybe perhaps August 26th is the movie night, if you wanted to partner with the port to do that. There's also the suggestion that we have the community picnic in conjunction with the National Night Out, which is public safety event, which is August 2nd. That day, there is a wedding at the pavilion, so we would have to do it at the fire hall, which is probably appropriate if it's a national night out to meet our public safety people. The potential exists to partner with the museum at a membership meeting, although there's some mixed feelings on the museum board about that. They'd like to have their own meeting. It would be a picnic, but so, and then it's just, is this something we should do? Should we do one event, all events, none of the events? How? I don't know what the council would like to do, and that's why it's the council's decision.
So we got this in the action area right now. So, in the action area, you look for a motion. So if somebody comes up with a motion, we could have, it doesn't mean the motion is gonna pass, we're gonna move on. But if you come up with a motion of a plan of attack that you may wanna do on this thing, you are no motion.
Or recommendation to which way you want to go.
Yeah.
I would, for me, I would think that, I'd be in favor of the National Night Out, something that is the city and for the community, but coming directly from the city and getting the fire trucks in, maybe getting Life Flight out here and the sheriff, and maybe we can get the Forest Service out too, just so we can have all these things, for the kids and to learn and all. And I think, for me, I think that would,
And you could do some advertising for the ballot.
So we're gonna hold off on the motion here right now. We just have a discussion. I'm sure everybody like to tune in or whatever. So you're looking at something on the community night out, and that's in
August 2nd.
Okay, so anything else there? Anybody else have?
Well, I have a problem with the council as itself hosting or co-hosting like a community picnic where they're giving away prizes or whatever. Because this money comes out of what's called support community programs. The title of that says it all, support community programs. That means the community brings to us their programs and then we support it. It's not council or support council program, it's community programs. So now if John at the firehouse comes to us and says, hey, we want to have the national night out at the firehouse and we need your help. Good. Then we support it. But for us to go out and say, okay, this is where we're gonna go spend that money. Because, we had Kirsten that came, requested money out of this program or this fund for the children. And unfortunately, she's down with cancer now, and so her program's gone halt. We've had the school come to us, or not this, but previous councils, to request money for pre-K and stuff like that. That's what this budget item is set for. It's not for council fitness. So.
Well, I would agree with that.
But if you wanted to create a whole different budget item that's for council picnics, okay.
I would agree with that, but I would say we are representatives of the community. So we are part of it. So what we do is represent the community. I don't think it's beyond the ability for us to do that. I think it would still fall into what that thing is asking for. You know, they put an Easter egg kind of on down here, the board did that, we had, council members involved, it went really well. I think the community looked at that as a very positive thing for them. I personally think that it's important for a community and important for a council to step up and do some things with the community. And I think it would fall inside of this. There's a lot of organizations out there now doing these things. And I think we have some real interest in our council to want to do some of these things in the community. And I want to, you know, personally, I want to be able to support those kind of efforts. And I think that this is within the realm of what the council can do. And I get what you're saying, but we are part of that community too. We aren't just the council and we're this group out here doing our own thing. We are community people and we are representing the community. So that's my own personal opinion, is I think it's appropriate for us to do some things like this.
Yeah, I just feel, you know, the port collects their money through their rentals and their leases and their parking fees and bridge crossing toll. We collect money through taxes and utility fees. And so I see our charge of holding and spending that money differently than the way the port does. So.
And I get that, but again, it's a council. And
Yeah, and
all power is in the council. The council is representing the citizens of the community. If 4 people on the council want to spend those tax dollars that they believe is supporting their community, they get to do that. And then the community can decide whether they want this council around. But until then, 4 votes on a council gets to take that tax dollars, and that's what we're gonna do with a whole bunch of money here. Real Wednesday. We're gonna, you know, a big group of citizens gonna sit around a budget committee, which includes the council. And is gonna make a decision on how lots of things are spent. Again, I believe this is for this council, and what I'm trying to, it's your guys' council, I'm just here to kind of support what you guys have. But it appears this council wanted to do some of these kind of things within the community, and I'm trying to support what they're.
Well, I'm quite well aware that, so, you know, I'm just one vote. And so I'm just respectfully
And I'm just one
submitting
vote.
my opinion.
Yeah. So any other discussion on?
I have
Kathy,
one more.
Kathy,
Oh, go
what do
ahead.
you got?
I just wanted to finish with saying, I think whether it's National Night Out or whether it's whatever, for us to update the community, that we are listening to what they say about public safety and stuff, and let them know that we're getting a new fire truck and that we're getting ordered the speed limit signs, and that that if this passes the ballot, that money will go to public safety and all that. And I think that is a big thing for the community to find out, whether we do it National Night Out or whatever. I think they need to know we're working hard trying to fix this best we can. And what a better way to do it than have a burger or something and have it, you know, do it and have the public safety people out there.
Kathy, you want to-
So, couple things, Fiona. I don't think this is a matter of picking one or the other. I mean, there's money in the budget we can do more than one project. I talked to Olga today and we did talk about August 26th, if we were to partner with them. So what we did last year, it was the last movie night in the park. It was so positive. I did not hear one complaint. And it was also a great opportunity to do the survey as well. Once again, that was all really positive. It's a way to have a really nice big event where we're not footing the bill for the whole project. They're willing to split it with us. As far as the National Night Out on August 2nd, I think it's a great idea. Absolutely. Have it at the fire station. We have money, what we can support that. Yeah, the June 24th, that was gonna coincide with the Blues festival thing over, and that wasn't gonna work. But, I think these are all really good ideas, and I would like to see the council, like, we can do more than one. There's money in the budget, this picnic, this night out, this is not, an ask for anything. This isn't, it's not a fundraiser, they're not asking for anything, it's just come, meet your neighbor, sit down, have a meal, and have a nice time. And it was really refreshing, even last year. We didn't talk about COVID, it was really, really positive. So I would like to see that. I'm willing to help. Again, I pretty much did all the ordering and everything, worked in partnership with Brittany. It was a ton of work. Tammy came down and helped. Brittany, the whole court was just phenomenal in what they did and how they came together. And then Mayor Walker, it was just good. He was amazing. And he just said, Kathy, I'll show up, tell me what to do and everything. And he did. And he just kept saying how much he enjoyed it. And that was positive, and I'm very passionate about our community, and I can appreciate the reasoning behind the money, but we have the money in the account, and I think it's a matter of interpretation as well on how that money is spent. So I don't believe that this is a detriment to the community. I believe it's a positive aspect. Last year, we budgeted up to $1,500. We ended up spending 1,000. The sport spent 1,000. We spent 1,000. This year it would probably be closer to 1,500 because food costs have gone up considerably. And then also we wanted to add maybe a few elements as well, doing projects with kids, things like that. And also there's been discussion as well, since there's money in the budget, is that to maybe, I know Tammy's reached out and she can talk more about that, but having someone come in to run kids programs, and maybe like an art night, it's Tuesday art night or something, and there's money in the budget for that. So if we vote for $1,500 for the community picnic, it's not jeopardizing a ton of other stuff. So, and I don't see the harm of it. And I'm supportive, even though as much work it was, I could take 4 days off from work to do it, but I'm willing to do it, and the court's on board as well, so.
Well, I'm open to a motion.
I was hoping to throw in my 2 cents.
Oh, okay.
If that's all right.
Yep.
So I just want to understand, so basically what we're talking about is the community picnic. And when that community picnic is going to take place, is it happening in collaboration with the movie night on 8/26 or
Yeah.
potentially on August 2nd with National Night Out? Correct? Is
Well,
that right?
I think they're two different events. I would like to do both. That's what I would like to do, but as far as the last night, the movie, that's when I'm willing to, I can say, I'll take responsibility and do what I did last year. And August 2nd, that would be a collaborative as well with the fire station, and I haven't talked to them. So, and we're all open to get on board and help organize that.
Because I think that, that's what I wanted to clarify. And I
Right.
think that I agree with you. I feel like public safety is such an issue that we really
Right.
should not dilute what's happening in National Night Out.
Right,
And I think that in my opinion, I feel like the community picnic is more appropriate to do on the night with the
Right.
movie night and keep the focus on public safety with the National Night Out.
right,
I believe all of these community events, whether it's the Easter egg hunt,
right.
movie night, community picnic,
right.
all of that is beneficial from a public safety standpoint, getting out and getting to know their neighbors and
Right,
building that sense of community. I think it actually helps to keep our community safer. So
right,
I'm supportive of both, but I think that we should really try to keep the focus on the public safety for the National Night Out.
right. Well, I'd like to make a motion to be able to, on August 26th, partner with the court, 1,500 up to 1,500. I'd be close to that.
So you're looking at one event, right?
One, right now, I can't speak because I haven't even touched on the others, but I'm not opposed to the others, but right now,
And what day was that?
it is August 26th. That's the last movie night in the park. So I'm
And the night out, what day was the night out?
August
August
2nd.
Okay, so you're taking motion on the latter.
Yeah, on the 26th, because that's the one I know, I would have to have more conversation to find out what do they want to do, how much, you can't just throw money at it when they
No
don't
plan.
know what the plan is. But there's money in the budget for it.
I think that the National Night Out is absolutely important, but I second your motion. I think that that's,
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, in $1,500 on August 26th. The last movie in the park, is that? Okay, discussion. I would just say, well, after this discussion, after this, I'll say something. So all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No,
Okay, then that passes. We're gonna do this. And it sounds like you want to take the lead on this thing.
And anyone else who wants to partner, but trust me. if you want
Well,
it.
and that's what I see.
We got kicked off, so it just came back on. I don't,
That's something I said.
probably.
So anyway, as far as the city staff, we'll
Right.
have to make sure that you go through board on that to be able to get help there.
Right.
Okay, so that passed, you're doing it.
Are you gonna contact Olga then?
Yeah.
So on the August 2nd one, National Night Out. Because the fire department is part of the city. Was these comments down here from John Logan himself? So
He don't, he's a work.
so if we gave him a budget to be able, and some assistance to be able to do that, we could make a motion to do the National Night Out as well, and maybe talk about the things that we've been doing, and let the kids get on the fire truck and in the police car and things like that. Is that possible?
Absolutely.
So I'll make a motion that, we give the fire department up to $1,500 for National Night Out on August 2nd. They willing to coordinate that though?
John will do a great job.
Yes.
I'll second that. Yeah, awesome.
Did we get a second?
We did.
Police?
I'd second,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. So it's been moved to second, $1,500 for National Night Out, working with the fire department.
Yeah, up to 15.
On that event. Discussion?
I think you said before, nothing gets people out more than food.
That's right.
Or music.
You feed them, they'll show up.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, so that passes. Do you want to help make sure that?
I will reach out to John and all that, and I can offer my help with, in that area since you're,
Cool.
that's up to
Okay.
you, and you, I'll kind of help them out with that.
So again, a reminder, even for you on this one, that if you need city staff, because again, they're loaded, just make sure you touch base with the board. Because now we got a couple of things going on here. And having seen how these, as you would know, and I'm sure, and you know, these things are not easy.
No.
It's a load to take this on. So I appreciate council stepping up and doing this, but it's not an easy thing to do. And just be aware, you may not be able to get a lot of help out of the city staffing.
Right.
Make sure you touch base with the board, but thanks for taking that on.
Gordon?
Yeah, go ahead.
I had a question about, right now, there's what, little 61 or 6,200 out of the,
Something like that.
something like that. So is it something, and I know on the budget, it's budgeted for 10,000 again. So if we have the 6,000 today and we don't use, can that roll over into that? So it'd be 16?
No, it goes
Or
into
do
the
you-
beginning fund balance. and it's reallocated.
So if we don't use it, it just gets absorbed into something else.
It's the beginning fund balance of the entire revenue stream of the general fund is reallocated.
Which you can go get it. I mean, it's there. You just have to, there's a process you have to go through to try to get more out of it.
Well, if you look in the budget, we put the $10,000 back in. If you want
Right.
to use the 16,000, I gotta take that 6,000 for someplace else.
Oh, no, I just was trying to.
I know what you're gonna do.
I'm just trying to spend it before it's over. That's all. That's fair. But is it possible to get, purchase like, either your United Grocers or Costco card for the event to be used and then before I'm trying to be creative.
I know what you're trying to do, and it's a violation of budget law, because it's an event that's generated, it would be expended in August, needs to go in the next fiscal year.
Okay.
I bought it this year, and wait to spend it in next year, you are bending the rules. This, that expenditure would be in this fiscal year, and the auditor would look at that and say, well, what'd you spend it on? We say, oh, we waited 45 days to spend it on.
So it's when the event happens, right? Pretty much.
Or when you buy this
Or when you
actual
buy it,
product.
yeah.
So if we did, cause there's a couple of, a double ring, we talked about kids programs, I know Tammy some, so what if somebody said before the new fiscal year, if they came and they said, we wanna run X amount of kids programs and we need $500, that would be legit, correct?
If it's before the end of June 30th.
There you go. Okay.
I reached out to the Hood River Library to ask them if they're gonna be doing any summer programs. And I'll let you know, I guess next, she hasn't got back to me yet, so there's hoping that we might be able to use funds for that.
Trying to be creative.
Well, I would just say on that note too, that, I believe, I don't know, but I heard it's open, it's closed, it's open, I understand the Stevenson pool is open. And we used to, have our kids go over there for swim lessons, and we'd get a bus from Hood River, so we just had to pay for the bus to be able to take them once a week or twice a week, or whatever it is to Stevenson, so maybe keep something like that in mind, potentially. That's how a lot of kids learn to swim when we're younger, is at Stevenson, and
Did the parents go with
the
them?
city make sure that we have a bus to get over.
Nice.
So anyway, just throwing that out there too,
All right.
as something that's potential. Good for kids. Okay. Reports presentation, oh, no, now it's appearance of citizens. As a citizen, did you want to say anything else?
I'll just say I just appreciate what you do, and it's exciting to be part of the community. I'm glad I came up tonight to see what all you're working on.
Well, thank you. We're working on a lot more things than just get here tonight. This happened, didn't you say this happened to you? He's been in a number of communities.
I always made it.
Yeah,
Duh.
there you go. There you go. We are happy. Would you give your catchphrase for us? Whenever he goes into a meeting, if he comes to a Forest Service meeting, this is how he's gonna open up his introduction.
City Administrator of Cascade Locks, where the Bridge of the Gods spans the heart of the gorge, where mountain, wind, and water creates the best sailing in the Northwest, and where CO on the license plate stands for Cascade Locks, the second largest city in Hood River County.
There you go.
Wow,
And you'll hear that
That's pretty good,
anytime
huh?
something-
Yeah.
Oh, he's got it down. He's got it down.
It's even worse than that. The tourism committee is redoing their strategic plan, and they're going to use a version of that for the vision of the Cascade Locks tourism.
Oh, all right.
Wow.
Are they gonna give you credit?
I don't care.
Gordon's like, I wanna retire.
After that,
How do you think we could get John Stiffen to put it to music?
Oh,
I'm sure you
Probably.
could. I'm sure you could. Okay, thank you. Okay, reports and presentations and committees. And you've had your report, so city administrators.
So it's a nice large packet that wanted to make up for this skinny council packet. Number one, KGW.com, Grant McCollum's grants, giveaways, check out the May 20th broadcast, Cascade Locks, and Mayor Tom
Oh, I'll have to check that out.
That's a few years old.
Was that a read? I thought.
That's I did that a few years ago, but they're doing it again.
Awesome.
It's good. Number two, water park corridor and multiple falls time use permits, which we've already talked about. I put the ODOT brochure in your packet for you to read. If the locals want to pick up a physical day use permit, they can get it from the museum when the museum is open 11 to 5, Wednesday through Sunday. Monday. Yeah. So. Express bill pay is up and everybody seems to be working pretty well with it. We haven't had the issues that we had with invoice cloud, so that's good. Don't forget your budget committee meeting here, 6:30. It'll be a little more crowded, but 6:30. The Dry Creek Booster Pump, the bids are in the hands of 8 different contractors for them to bid on it. We had almost immediate interest from Crestline. The bids will be opened on June 7th. Election packets are available when Kathy gets back in the office, or they are online under election packets. 56, 57 pages long if you are interested in all of the ordinances and requirements for that, but that's there. I took your suggestions and input on the neighborhood watch signs. It seemed to be simple was better. And I created 4. 2 actually, but I printed it in 2 different colors. If that's something that you like, I can go back to the drawing board. First one I did not have the city logo on it. It had the Port Bridge logo. The port did not want the bridge logo used on it. So I put the city logo on there, which is just fine. That's our community, it's our logo. And one says, we report all crimes, and then encouraging citizens, if you see something, say something. And so this is something we can go get printed on metal. And we can order it ourselves. We don't have to go to any of these sign people to do that kind of stuff. So, if do you like one better than the other, color better than the other?
I think you did a great job, and I think whichever one you pick, I'd be happy with any of them, so,
Yeah. I like the blue.
you like the blue?
I did too, because we've got some.
I'm good with whatever you think.
And, yeah, you did a good job with that. It's pleasing to the eye. You
It's
can read it.
simple, and it'll be big enough that you
Right.
can read it, and it encourages other citizens to be involved.
And it would be nice to coincide these with maybe a meeting down at the port or something where we're explaining these signs. I just don't want to get to a point where people were putting these up everywhere and then they're like, what neighborhood watch?
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll
Yeah.
introduce it August 2nd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Good one. You're so good. I like that, actually. Good.
All right, and you want the one with if we see something, we say something. All right.
Is everybody good with that?
I am, yeah.
You know, about 100 of those?
The sign pollution. Thank you. I will move forward on that. And who knows, maybe I'll copyright it and I can get residual.
Okay.
Finance my retirement. Okay. The port has approved a joint planning commission meeting on June 6th at 7 o'clock. Butch, do you want to arrange for
I will call in.
the Hood River Security to come here? It'll be here. The only thing on the docket will be the discussion of law enforcement, unless there's something else that you want to approve.
I would like to add to the agenda that we talk about verification of events going on with the port to the city, because this last week we were in the action committee or team meeting, And I found out from the port that some of the events that we okay here, they didn't know about. Particularly a couple that involved liquor license permits, that the event area was not approved, but it came here, and then we approved it. So that one thing I said way back, that we need some verification from the port before we approve things.
We assumed that they saw it before it came.
Yes, and there's been some events that has not been the case. We've gotten it first. So we need verification from them. And so we need to set up with them how that verification works. So I like that added on to it. And
Or since we've actually had a request from the port at that meeting, we just do it,
yeah,
and then we don't have to talk about it.
right.
Because it makes sense, you know, all it is a phone call or an email.
Well, my understanding is when Butch brought that up at that meeting back then, Olga was on Zoom and Kathy was here that night. I forget what for, but she was here. And she said that this all starts, the people learn to contact us because the port has told them to contact us and so forth, and that it wouldn't happen if there wasn't, remember?
But what happens when down the road, these people tell their friends, well, just contact the city?
Yeah, the problem we've had is the city, people assume the city and the port are the same thing. And they get a city permit, it's gotta be good for the port, but it's not.
Well, I think, it's a discussion to be had when the port can be on.
I don't think we need to have a discussion with the port, I think we just implement it.
Well, I'd like Olga to be here for.
Well, when the port representative asks for that verification, I think that's fair,
Well,
but,
So what exactly are you proposing that we implement? I'm getting a little lost.
when we get an event that is on port property, we let the port know, or we ask the port, do you know about this? Or no, it's just one step in the process.
mhm.
So do we, in that situation, are we going to, vote on whether or not we approve their?
No, you can't.
No,
You
Until
have
we get
no-
their verification.
you
So
have-
when we get the request, that's when we verify, then we bring it to the city council.
mhm.
Got it. Oh, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
It's just simple, just do
It
it.
doesn't need to,
Yeah, I was informed about a run that ends up on Thunder Island. And the person putting on the event was allowing, they weren't doing it themselves, they were gonna allow for alcohol to be there. But they weren't sponsored and they weren't covering, they weren't gonna have the liability of it. But it was like, yeah, you can come and be part of this if you want. So that's one of those things where
Slips
not
through the
everybody,
cracks.
we knew the run was going, and so then everybody assumed the sponsor of the run was sponsoring these other things, and they weren't. They were just saying, yeah, you wanna come down, you can come on down, and so then they get the permit, but they aren't really, it's not the event that asked for the permit, it was, someone else.
So it seems like that's maybe language in the agreement for the event that needs to be tightened up about what they can and cannot approve to take place at their event.
One of them was the placement of a beer garden on Thunder Island.
Yeah,
That came here, and the port didn't know about it until they read it in our agenda.
otherwise, if you're gonna have alcohol in port, you have to pay a, permit fee.
So we just filled out an event application to do an event and
Right.
port property. And on the application, it says, if you're going to be charging to serve alcohol, then you have to get an OLCC license. But if you're not charging any money, you don't need to get a license, you don't need to bring it to the city council.
We don't charge any money, they can't serve alcohol for property.
What if it's a private event, like a wedding?
You have to have a permit from
Yeah.
the port.
Yeah.
For,
The board has to
Have
know what
alcohol.
you're doing.
because the port
Right.
is now dry.
What's that?
The port is now dry. So you have to have a permission from them or permit from them to have alcohol at your event.
Right, and that was on the application, but it didn't say that you had to have an OLCC permit. It said in the application, it was very specific about if you're charging for alcohol, then you had to get an OLCC permit.
Yes, in that case, they come to us, but
That's
if it's just a wedding and they're gonna have toast with champagne, that's a port issue.
Right.
That's not an OLCC issue.
That's right.
So we're good?
Good.
All right. The latest city administrator recruitment process brochure is in your packet there for you to see.
Can you remind me, as I was going through that, I was having a hard time remembering what changes did we make to the brochure besides the salary?
We did the salary and we upped it to 5 years.
Prior experience.
Prior experience, either and educational components that equal to 5 years. So we put a little more wiggle room, a little more experience, but we put wiggle room in it.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then we extended the open until filled first review June 6th.
And when does that published, when will this new document go out?
It's already,
It's out.
and as is the new ad. Oh, it's how it's going. The electronic speed signs have been ordered, 6 to 8 week delivery. That was 2 weeks ago, so we're looking 4 to 6 weeks. And then I get to give it to Sheldon and say, come on. Yeah. The neighborhood watch sign, we talked about already. That's fine. Oh.
Sorry,
Well.
kids are really.
You're really proud of those, aren't you?
Public Power Council, you may not know, as members of the Oregon Municipal Electric Utilities, we are also members of the Public Power Council. The Public Power Council is all preferential customers. That is those who have first dibs on BPA power. They represent about 90% of the power usage from the BPA. Things that are coming up in the future are the BPA contracts with all of those, there's like 450 of them, are up 2028. They're working on the contract negotiations now. They would like to have the contract settled by 2025 so that there's no blip in the contracts running out and being able to supply power. The Public Power Council is the watchdog of the Monroe Power Administration to make sure that those costs are accurate, to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, just to make sure the preferential customers such as we are the first customer from Monroe Dam in 1936. It protects our interests. The other thing that is going on is there's huge, the CAL-ISO, California, I can't remember what ISO stands for, and the SSP, which is Southwest Power out of Louisiana. They are expanding their ability to balance power across a larger regional area. CAL-ISO is looking to take over the West Coast. SPP is looking to take over the Midwest. It will dramatically change the way power is distributed on a statewide basis. And so Public Power is committed to looking at both of those options to make sure that we get our preferred rates, we get power first, protecting our interests. Put a letter in there that's trying to explain that to you. But know that these people are a watchdog for us and helping us maintain power reliability for our customers. So that's what that's all about. Dumpster days, we collected the trash on dumpster days, about 18.22 tons.
Wow.
That's the equivalent of 20 Volkswagen Beetles.
Fun fact.
Fun fact.
Did they have to close early before 4 o'clock?
I am not aware. If they get full, yes, they will close early. But again, it's just residences, not businesses, so I saw the line when I went by at 10, but
I gave up trying.
it's,
I missed the days where we had 2 days.
well,
But that's a garbage company decision, right? Not us.
They're the
pay
ones
for
that,
that.
they're the ones that supply the dumpsters. They did give us more dumpsters this year, but we filled them up too faster. So.
We always fill
Oh, yeah.
up. We always.
Reminder to everyone, fireworks are prohibited inside city, since December of 2005. We've never enforced it. But
They got enforced last year. 'cause
we
I
did
knew
last
someone.
year.
We got in trouble.
Well, the fire department has to go out, get confiscated. And as somebody had mentioned previously, the Empire Village summer camps are canceled due to health issues with Kirsten Walter. Finally, we interviewed another finance director. We had another CPA who applied. He worked for 12 years for the city of Tualatin. He's worked for the city of Borden. He's worked as an accountant. He's worked as a municipal auditor for several, and he's worked for several state agencies, funding and educational agencies, Clackamas Community College. He already has experience with our software provider. Very interested, and he's excited to come work for us. He would like us to bump him up the vacation schedule, which means instead of the first year, we give him some credit. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
He also asked me something else that I told him I couldn't do that. But anyway, I'd like to be able to call him tomorrow and invite him to come work for us, if that's okay.
If he wants to be permanent, not,
That's
He
what
wants
I
to
was
be
gonna
permanent.
ask, under my brain, is like, is he here temporarily?
Well, you never guess.
Yeah, I
You
know,
But he does live in Southwest Portland. He doesn't have to move. He can come in, commute.
he wants to move.
When he gets here, he may want to.
Yeah.
But, we checked his background, we checked his references. The one gal I talked to said he was the best boss I ever worked for.
Wow.
And he's excited to come. I mean, he was excited to put his application in, and I took him on a tour and showed him all the things that are happening here in Cascade Lodge. And he just got excited. It was just, so, I believe he will accept an offer tomorrow. And he may be, hopefully I'll invite him to our budget committee meeting on Wednesday night. And he wants to have the weekend to play golf with his father. He could start as early as Tuesday and Wednesday.
Well,
Because he
Nice.
has all this experience, and he's been an auditor, he should, and he's worked with the software before. We should have a shorter training period, shorter overlap with Mary Ann. And I just think young, exciting,
Sounds good.
single guy. So,
Sounds good.
thank you. And we try to broadcast on the city. No idea what happened. Like and share us on Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor and city council comments. Kathy,
Gosh, first of all, thank you to staff and gosh, I know Mary Ann, everyone has been working really hard on these big binders for budget. So it's a tremendous amount of work, so thank you very much. And thank you, Donna, for coming. It's nice to meet you and I'm one of your neighbors probably.
Oh.
So, and then Gordon, I had a question for you. I was looking on the LOC website and there's are we participating in the city employee salary survey? It's due June 20th. And
Oh, you mean Lee Morgan State, I'm sorry.
yeah,
Yes,
yes.
yes, we do all.
Okay, good, because I was looking on the list where I haven't participated, but it looks like it would be really valuable. So we can figure out salaries with other cities and whatnot. It might help for hiring down the road.
It's usually the problem is it's by the time you're looking at it down the road, you're a year past and it's invalid. Because it's,
Well,
but I
let's
guess,
be part of the list. Yeah. Good River's on there, so.
You had brought up, Mr. Mayor, about the swimming. I did want to share that Hood River Swimming Pool is doing $1 swims every Friday from 5:30 to 7. I suggested the person that posted it from the school ask and see if they can do any carpooling or whatever. because of the gas to get there, but I didn't get a response from her. But, that's nice that they're doing that. Also, I was wondering, I think I had asked Gordon on this, about adult stores. My voice cracks. I know we've been talking about the marijuana thing. I'm assuming that an adult store would have the same, only be able to go next to the firehouse as far as,
That's not correct.
okay, well, you correct me. Tell me.
Freedom of speech, we cannot restrict. Adult stores.
Okay, so when a company wants to come in, we don't get to vote on any of it? I mean,
Okay, unless they're building a building, and then if it falls within the community development code,
okay,
but we cannot prohibit adult stores, period.
oh, that's too bad. Okay,
So that's the First Amendment.
Good question.
yeah, because I know the Dallas didn't like theirs coming in there, and I was trying to figure out how maybe we could get ahead of it.
Yeah,
So-
I did ask the city attorney, and he said it's a First Amendment issue. Yeah, we can't do anything restricted. Period.
Okay, well, here's another one we probably can't do anything about.
Okay.
Is there anything that we can do that I'm missing about the feral cats around here? Because we have so many, and I know where they're coming from. We have so many in our neighborhood, and my neighbor went to chase one off because one of their cats was going after her cat, and she fell and had to go by ambulance to the hospital and had to stay a couple days. So it's really out of hand. Both of us have tried trapping them. The cats, I don't know what the secret is to trapping them, but they're not going for it. I know dogs need to be licensed with the state. There's nothing that,
County.
The county.
We call the county,
yeah, they say trap them and bring them in. Well,
That's what they're gonna say.
yeah. So there's nothing else that we don't have a leg to stand on to cite the place that we know that they're coming from.
Again, that would be animal control,
Okay, I'll call
but it should do that.
And I don't, well, they may possibly,
They may kick it back and.
they may know somebody knows that is good at trapping, you know, they may be able to help you in that manner.
them.
But you know somebody.
There is that organization up towards, is it Lyle, I think it is. It's a cat organization that will come if a feral cat is pregnant, will,
But we have to catch it first.
they'll give you stuff to catch it.
Okay,
And then and what they'll do is they won't give you the kittens back. They'll take the kittens, but they'll fix the cat and then you take the feral cat back. Or something like that.
I'm reluctant to say thank you for the budget stuff, but thank you for that. I know it's a nightmare for you guys. And that's all I got.
May I back up one thing? I have one question I forgot. At the end of the road of the hill, we have those two homeless, the trailers, there's two. Do you
They
know
are
where
private property. I've already approached the property owner,
Right,
have had no response. They'll probably be cited in municipal court. But again, it's on private property, I can't,
and it's growing,
no, there's two there,
right,
it's not. But it's all private property,
right,
if it was on city right away, I could move, but they're not.
but we can, or you can give them a notice.
I can do a complaint and a summons and take them to court. But I don't know with Martin v. Boise restrictions, what we could do. I'm gonna try, but
Right.
There's nothing on
So
state.
there's no code enforcement, they're not breaking,
they are breaking code by living in RVs on the property.
Right.
And that's why I would be taking them to court now.
okay,
And it's $500 a day for each violation. Each day is a new violation because there's two of them every 2 a day. But it's gotta be the property owner that's willing to accept the responsibilities.
have
So,
they
but-
been notified?
Yeah, I haven't issued the summons, I haven't scheduled the court, but I wrote him a letter that said, hey, I want you to know you're liable for this.
Right,
And I've had no response from the property owner.
was it certified? So we know they got it?
No, I sent them a letter. I don't want, when I do the complaint summons, I have to have it from personally.
Okay,
I try persuasion first
sure.
before I hit them with the club. But I mean, it took 6 years to clean up property in Hammond.
Yeah. Okay.
And one up here too. Where's this one?
Right corner of Sahala and Fort Wayne. I'm reluctant to name the property owner.
It's across from the KOA.
No, it's
Down.
down the street. That's another one.
Mhm.
That we're working with the
Yeah.
property owner, and he's trying to evict those people.
Where the truck got stuck,
And what happened?
railroad tracks.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So what happened is the people at 822 Forest Lane are leaving. Where are they going? 1080 Forest Lane. Same people.
Yeah, I just somehow, some way wanna be mindful
Just gotta follow the law.
and thank you.
What's frustrating is that we follow the law, but other people don't.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Brenda, you're up.
Yeah, I just wanna thank staff for, all the paperwork and the budget and all that, and thanks for fixing the resolution and the ordinance. So if the bids are open June 7th, what kind of, I mean, I don't wanna tell these people the end of June and it'd be like August or September. If it's realistically like August or September, I'd rather tell them.
If the bids are opened on the 7th, you will be approving the bid on the 13th.
Uh-huh.
And we'll see what the approving bid, when they're planning on getting started. That's not done.
Yeah, cause it was gonna be spring and then it's gonna, and it just keeps going on and on. So, but thanks Donna for coming out and welcome to Cascade Locks. Speaking of like city ordinance and, or, code enforcement, what do we do about these homes that are like falling down and the yard, the lawns aren't taken care of and the sheds are, I mean, it's just falling apart and it looks terrible and it brings down my property value and other people's property value. What are we doing?
We're not doing much. There is an ordinance that we could call for nuisance abatement, but what it requires is the city to go in, tape off the area, take control of the area, contact the property owner and work out a plan. And we have to pay all the costs reimbursable by the property owners, and we just don't have that kind of money to do that kind of stuff. As far as the, what was the second thing you said?
Lawns and all.
Lawns.
that.
The ordinance says between May 1st and July 15th, you have to cut your lawn at least twice. And you can whack down the weeds, so I can't do anything until after July 15th, which is what we did last year. I cited 13 different property owners and got them to clean up, but it was after July 15th, because that's the deadline that's in the code.
Oh, that'll be as high as the house, but then.
In some cases, it was pretty high, but most of them responded. There really was only one that didn't respond.
And then, the second thing I had kind of in that line, the sign downtown at the Cascade Inn, that banner that's selling hotel furniture and stuff, was that permitted, that sign?
No, he was supposed to have that out. Well, the sign is fine, but the container in the middle of the parking lot.
I was gonna say something else, but to put a sign downtown, it has to be permitted. It has to, you have to fill it, pay money, fill out a permit.
That's not a permitted sign. It was just, they hung it, it's not a sign that's on the side of the building.
But it's staying up there.
Well, I'll contact her.
Yeah, cause it looks like she's getting into used furniture businesses, cause
She's selling the furniture that she replaced in the motel.
yeah.
And was supposed to have all of that gone by the beginning of May.
And the cargo trailer too.
Which is supposed to be filled full of stuff. But I'll call her.
Can the city send a letter to the property owners that the dilapidated homes, notifying you that what code it's against, or, but have we done it?
No,
Can we?
sure, but what enforcement can I do?
Well,
I mean,
at
I
least,
put them on notice, I suppose.
yes, it just, I don't know, sometimes it just helps, at least if they get a warning notice, or just a notice like, here, this is, you're violating code enforcement, and
I'm paying attention.
It's kind of like the one you send out about the garbage, that it's required to have garbage service in Cascade Locks, where
Yeah.
there's gotta be something along that line, because
But like Gordon said, it's, and if you do that, it's tough because
yeah,
they don't care.
right,
They're like that because they don't care.
right. But at the
But
same,
at least, yeah.
right, at the same time, we could say, yeah, I would rather say, well, we sent a letter, we've done this, and
We
versus,
care. Yeah,
yeah, because
Yeah.
we're trying,
yeah.
we're trying.
that's all I need.
Which,
Okay, Donna, thank you for appearing. Welcome to Cascade Locks. I think you'll find it above being beautiful here, and I don't mind the rain myself. It doesn't bother me, and I'd like to thank staff for all their hard work, and I'm especially appreciative of Marilyn's writing the minutes. She makes me sound smarter than I actually am. And I've been given a task of helping bring back the Santa Social. And with my work with the church, and I'm gonna be talking with Todd Moore and have both churches sponsoring the Santa Social. And I am lucky that I have in my congregation somebody who is very qualified to lead this project. So I have Sandy Place being the lead on our Santa Social. So,
very good one.
so we'll get that brought back here and get Santa Claus back in the gym and all the kids happy. That's all I got.
Well, again, thank you for coming to speak tonight, and it's nice to meet you. Welcome to our community. Good to have you here. I think, Butch was at the budget training on Wednesday, and I just gotta say, Gordon did an amazing job of going through all that material in the 23 minutes. I think it was
No, it's
53.
43.
Yeah, it was pretty darn quick.
I got chewed on by Mary. You took too long.
But there's a lot of material to go through and explain, and he did a really good job of kind of giving somebody that hasn't been through this before a very good overview of what the budget process looks like. So I was really grateful for that.
Bring a water bottle on this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot longer.
Yeah. Really appreciate your work too on the neighborhood watch signs as well. I have been a little frustrated, I guess, with the lack of response regarding the sheriff's department on the crime stats. I just have heard nothing in response to that. You don't look surprised, Gordon. And I tried to go back through the, the meeting minutes to see if I could find those crime summary statistic reports. And it's not in every single meeting, and it's really buried in them, so it's pretty hard to track down. Do you have any advice or recommendations on a way that I can get those more efficiently?
I know.
Could you go
You mean old
on-
ones?
Go
Yeah.
online
I've got-
under the.
I've got
just-
every fact the last 10 years.
Yeah.
You go through all my facts, you're gonna be there a while.
Yeah, you should be able to go online under. the-
That's what
Well,
I'm
that's what
saying.
he's been doing, and because it's.
And it's always the last page.
Yeah,
Is
but
it
we have
always
2
last?
meetings a month,
Yeah,
and it may be at the end of the first week.
it's always the last page.
It's always the
Usually.
last
How
page.
far back do you wanna go?
3 years, I'd like to go back 3 years.
I could probably make copies.
Would that be too much trouble?
Not at all.
Okay, that would be really appreciated, so thank you,
Mhm.
that'd be great. So that takes care of like our town, but I was surprised to learn from the sheriff's department, that that's a custom report they built for us. that they're not able to provide those same numbers for the county as a whole. So,
Really?
yeah, thought that was interesting to learn. So I'll ask again, but that was from the administrative department. I just wanted to-
Well, if they can't do it, it's not there
Yeah.
to be done, but I'm surprised.
So I think, if we can get the numbers for the city, that would be helpful to get kind of a trend as far as what's happening in our local community, but not really able to compare that to what's happening in the county as a whole. But talking to friends that are in the Upper Valley, they're talking about changing up snow blowers, barbecues, log splitters, just
Right.
stuff that they've never had to deal with before, but people are using drones to case people's property and things are just walking off. So, I really feel like it comes down to homeowners, property owners, we gotta watch our stuff, have floodlights, cameras on our own property. It really, a lot of the ownership really relies on us, don't make yourself an easy target. 'Cause
Yeah, that's what they're doing now, and they're breaking the lock boxes if your home's for sale. They get the key, and then they just go right in to the home. So that happened to my sister this last week. They're having dinner, somebody just tried to open the door, and yeah, and she just happened to have one of those sticks on the door that was on the lower level. So he opened the security door, opened the door, and then, but couldn't get in, so then went around upstairs to the front door. But that's not in Cascade Locks, by the way, but, anyway, point is, and so her husband's like really tall like you, and he's like, yeah. And the guy was like, oh,
wrong
I was
house.
supposed to check it out. Sorry, he grabbed his hefty bag and went down the stairs and threw it in the unmarked car and, no license plate.
But times are
So
tough.
they're just,
The economy is really hard on a lot of people, and when people are struggling financially, crime goes up. So,
right.
thank you for your help with that report. That'd be great. Did you get my email about the HRIS information? Did that make it through?
Yes,
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to do it.
And honestly, I know that you've got a lot of other things going on, and this is probably not a top priority, but it was interesting to learn that there was, so HR, human resources information systems, that are designed for municipalities. And so this goes back to my question about, what kind of data do we have regarding turnover, trying to make performance management an easier process. So that was some information I shared with, Gordon about that. And that was the last thing I had.
Thank you. And thanks for coming. It's good to have more professional people in the community. So, what I wanted to bring up, because I had a citizen company, and I've had companies. As well, citizens company. So, our success here in the community is making things tough for us, because we got the one main street through town, and I noticed that, working at the port, once they really started opening up the trails, here in the gorge, and people really got excited about coming to the trails a few years ago, before the pandemic. Everybody just parked wherever they could park, trying to get, when they go up on the bridge area to try to get on the Crest Trail, they were parked everywhere. So the board was forced to have to go out there and put a bunch of rocks in areas to keep them from parking, because they were making things really unsafe. They were parking everywhere. And that seems to be the nature of the beast when they come into this area and want to do something. They're so focused on whatever they're doing, they're just trying to get a parking spot, or they're trying to move, or try to get something as quick as they can, which in our community is, in my mind, is creating a lot of safety issues for us. I know on the city highway, you've seen down there too, where they've had to put rocks all along a lot of parts of that road to keep them from parking in there, because they were creating unsafe situations. So a few things I want to bring up here, and a couple of them, I think that maybe we could do something about if we're interested in doing that. Some of the new businesses, because they don't have enough parking and they're popular, I mean, that's part of it, they're just stuff in, they're very popular. The parking is moving into residential areas, and they're taking up the street areas that in some areas, it's not Old Street, but it creates some problems on it. So an example, I'll just say, I'm on Venture, and we've got a yellow stripe on the, down by the main road, about 15 feet up, which is appropriate to keep people from being too close to the street so you can see, but on the west side, there's not a yellow stripe. So they park all the way to the sidewalk. And you can't get out, it's hard to get off the road to turn in there or turn out or visibility. So my question is about being able to put a yellow stripe there, the same as we have on the east side. To make sure they don't park there, that allows more visibility and more access for that corner. But the other one is, we're getting complaints on is regulated. And so you got the ale house, and down low on Reagan, we've got the yellow stripe there that keeps them back off the main street a little bit there, so that's good. And the first stretch of it's got the parking lot behind the ale house, so that gives enough spread out area for parking. Once you get beyond that parking lot, it narrows down. And when they get parked in on both those sides, you can't hardly get through it, and emergency vehicles are gonna have a hard time. So a suggestion I want to throw out there is once you get beyond the ale house parking lot on the east side where the curb is to be able to put either a red fire zone or a yellow stripe from there on. Because from there below, from looking at it, the parking at ale house does get, it's wide enough. Once you get funneled up in there, you aren't. So we're creating all kinds of issues on our side streets, trying to get parking for these other places, and people are doing unsafe parking. And to go beyond that on Wanapa, and my question would be to you, on that is, should we bring in ODOT and have a conversation with one of the leaderships in ODOT? Because my issue there is a number. We have a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit here where you go to Troutdale, or a lot of these places have 20 miles an hour through their downtown area. So people go pretty fast through our town. They U-turns by everybody they do it automatically. They do it right in, I don't know why some people aren't running into each other all the time, because they're just automatically it's like a reflex to them to go into this U-turn. So we get a lot of U-turns, and we're getting at the east wind road is what's happening now is you've got the brewery on they're open, so now you're starting to get more parking along that curve at East Wind. So the people who are in the drive up, because they did it with the COVID, but nobody parked over there at that time. Now they're parking there, they're double parking in that line out there, and the westbound cannot get by them without going into the eastbound lane. We're creating a really unsafe, in my mind, a really unsafe situation. So my question is, because I see there's gonna be issues, and there are already issues there. The issues are not gonna go away from this. Can we bring in ODOT and have a discussion about on the phone, and maybe have some discussion on wherever we have streets where people are pulling up into them, because on most of these streets, a certain amount of parking, there's a lot of parking on it, and they're getting those areas filled, and they're not a problem. It's the ones, it's that area, it's that last area that when you're getting by Wanapa, that they're trying to crowd themselves as close to Wanapa as they can, and you're losing visibility and turning range for people. Don't look at those things.
I noticed going in and out of the port, because with the parking, they don't wanna pay for parking. So right at that entrance to go down to the port, the cars are parking right there, so it does make it hard to try and get back out on the road.
Just can't get visibility
Right,
coming out.
can't get visibility, yeah,
So same thing, whether we could put a yellow,
stripes.
yeah, just a yellow stripe for, because I think the state has distances, but from, or the county or the city, we must have a distance to try to give visibility at an entrance.
15 feet.
Okay, and that helps, because I mean, they're parking all the way to the sidewalk,
Yep.
or they're parking all the way
It was
to.
hard to get out, and I have a SUV where I sit up higher, and it was hard to get out.
So it seems to me there's little things, those are little things that we should be able to do to help create some kind of safety for us. But then the other question is, what can ODOT do for us on speed or U-turns, no U-turn signs or, and then maybe,
That's not ODOT. That's the state police.
oh, is that right?
Yeah, the state police does the enforcement of the U-turn.
Well, to enforce them, but a sign that says no U-turn, at least.
Okay.
That's not gonna help you?
No, we have flashing signs on school zones. How many people see those?
Oh, okay,
You know?
So I guess the question was-
You need to enforce it.
then the question was, here, don't get somebody here at certain times, but certain weekends. You can be there, you don't be there very much during the weekend,
Well, the counties do. But the state police really need to do it too, because it's a state highway.
So could we get the state police to have more of a presence to enforce these
at
things?
certain times.
We can try.
It's gonna be a zoo this summer.
I seen the state police, the unmarked state police car sitting in front of ODOT the other day. He was faced eastbound. And he had what I thought was a radar detector so he could see what people were doing on his trunk. So you couldn't see it if you were coming west. And he said that I was hoping that he was sitting there to get some of them trucks, because they can pull over the trucks whenever they're flying down Forest Lane, but he didn't stay there very long. So I don't know what he was doing. But he sat there for at least like 30 minutes or so.
You know, on your truck issue, now, there's not much we're gonna do about anybody who's just traveling through. But the local businesses, can we go out at least ask them, or tell them that, the trucks that are coming into Bear Mountain or the business, or Freem or that, just be able to say, they may not be all the issues, they may not be any issues, but at least go have a conversation with them and say, hey, we've been having issues down here with trucks, may not be yours maybe, but would you just pass on to your drivers
We've been down there too.
to be careful on Forest Lane?
We've been down to Bear Mountain and all that, Compton as well.
Oh, you have?
Yes, we
You
have.
have, so you have.
We've been down there twice. And he tries to get them before the overpass was closed. He was trying to get most of them to go the other way out and all that, but a driver's gonna do what a driver wants to do. They're not gonna listen to a shipper. You know, because it's their license. If they wanna speed, they're gonna speed.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
It's just one of those things, you just do the best you can, and I'm glad you're doing that. Glad you're
Yeah.
not asking, and
I'm surprised we can't lower the speed limit on Forest Lane, because it's 35 and it is pretty much a residential area. It's faster on Forest Lane than it is on Wanapum, which makes no sense.
Hopefully those signs are gonna have an effect.
Yeah, they helped last time.
Have you received a response from CAT on?
The response I got was they're gonna review the films and the current, like we said that they're current, there's going to be some action taken. But they're not gonna report back to me what they did.
Oh,
and what was the issue on CAT and you
Turn, make a U-turn.
Apparently CAT has a lot of, I don't know, I don't see any of these things, I mean, other than, I have a hard time getting home in the afternoon because of the east wind. Trying to get, because I gotta stop and wait for an opening to get around the double part. And, you know, but I'm used to U-turn people, but
Yeah.
there are people who are not used to U-turn people. I'm pretty alert, just trying to get home from the port. You gotta keep a real good eye out, because they do it instantaneously, going, where did that come from, man?
So, you know,
They'll do it right in front of you.
ODOT put a lot of pressure on us at Meadows. If we had traffic backed up on the overpass onto the freeway, onto the highway there,
Uh-huh.
they just straight up block the road and tell them to keep driving. You know, so I mean, it's a much smaller scale, but it's the same issue with the, the drive-in with traffic backing up under the right of way onto, Wanapa.
But who do you put, and ODOT would do that to?
ODOT, no, but they did, but they really wanted us to do it. They wanted Meadows to be in charge of that, right? We were responsible for ensuring safe
Okay,
transportation
yeah, okay.
and making sure emergency vehicles could get through, the snowplows could get through. If we didn't do a good job with it, then they would come and take over. But it was really on our responsibility as the business owner to make sure that we weren't impacting, transportation or, traffic on 35. I think this really falls on the business owner to control the people that are coming into their business.
Eastman, they won't do it.
They won't do it, but I'm just saying they should.
Yeah.
And ODOT can put some pressure on them to make sure that they are in compliance. So I'm just thinking that might be a way to address that. What about any sort of parking situation to allow people to, do we have any plans in place to develop more parking, that's not in town?
Ford has got a potential project on the railroad grade to, if the railroad ever gives them the property to put in 230 spaces.
And that's just down here, kind of underneath and over to the right.
No, as you go down to the port, you go to the right.
Yeah.
Before you go to the left, going.
Just, you go
And
down.
we're working on that a lot with the Forest Service over the bike trail up here.
Yeah, but that's only like 30 or 40 spaces.
Oh, that's better than nothing. That's a parking lot.
But I think you're right, though. I think this summer is gonna be the busiest summer we've seen in ever.
So then my question would be, so I threw some things out here.
Yes, you did.
Are there some things here that we could do or some people we can go to or?
Well, I can take a look at the yellow stripe on Venture. East side regulator, no parking, that's a little tougher. Because that's gonna push the parking further into the residential area.
Yeah, but it might push it into an area you can actually park at though, because it's getting to the point where you can't.
But
Because I think because there's a clip there, people are parking maybe further out, to create their own sidewalk. They step on the car to go over the bank.
Yeah, but if I put no parking there, then I probably gotta do the whole side no parking.
Why?
Because the
Give them
whole.
some parking. The parking that's across from
east
there.
side, that's right.
It is good, it's no
I
problem,
just-
because you got the west side, it's got their parking lot in there and their space. It's once you get beyond their parking lot, so it's just the upper half of it, that's about, no, maybe.
Well, you get.
It's where the container homes are, right?
Yeah,
That's
you get two
Yeah,
driveways
yeah.
up there.
Yeah, on the east side, on the store side.
Cause you wouldn't be able to, cause they tend to park over so they can get out of their vehicle, so then you couldn't get an emergency vehicle through there if you had
You
to
can't-
on a
you
good
can't.
day. Oh, yeah.
We want to
Without us
make sure
having to
we clear
repair
it.
it.
Yeah, well, ours gonna look worse. I'll take a look. I can't guarantee anything on that one.
Okay.
We can ask ODOT to come, but really it's not.
You don't think that's gonna get us,
It's not gonna get anywhere.
so then,
What I
so
will do
maybe the
is,
state police or the county, or.
well, I will ask the county sheriff to up the patrols or be a little more responsive, particularly, we'll count it in terms of, we're getting busier and busier and
Yeah.
busier. So we're probably gonna need some people here to do that, and maybe you could do a partnership with the state police to coordinate times. To just give it to us as a suggestion to the sheriff on that one.
Because I'm not a connected guy, but lots of people connected. Once they find out that we're gonna come down hard on them, or somebody's gonna get them, the word will get out, I believe. You don't see much.
And perhaps you should go have a conversation with the businesses about, like, send a letter out about parking, like it is your responsibility, like you're creating hazard and just put them, it may not help, but it's put a postage stamp and an hour to write a letter. And it may help.
And you write beautiful letters.
Camper letter, the dilapidated house letter. the parking letter.
And everybody that's
You're a
breaking
great
any sort of code.
There you go.
Now he's mad because he's such a good writer.
Thank you, Gordon.
I haven't done anything
You will.
yet. I know, but
Your letters are always right to the point. They don't have to be long. Anyway, that's where I'm at. You've got, other matters? Do we have any executive session?
Maybe we should.
Let it rain.
Yes, good. Need raise.
I never want to get it. I never asked you to cry.
Get a
You're
motion?
doing a great job. You're doing a great job, Gordon. Thank you.
Yes.
I will continue. Now you replace me.
Okay, so, open for adjournment.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Move second adjourn, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.